Hello, before we get started, my brother and I started a podcast. It's called the Boinks and CJ Civ Very Cool Podcast. You should go listen to it, it's pretty good. Links in the description. Anyway, thanks, on with the video. Jurassic Park. Originally a pretty good book released in 1990, legendary director Steven Spielberg made it into a movie in 1993 that has become incredibly beloved over the years, and then they made a bunch of terrible sequels. Jurassic World Dominion was recently released, and I figured I would go back and watch all the movies in this terrible franchise and rank and review them. I won't lie, I hate most of these movies. This was a struggle to get through. But I powered through, and here we are. This video was supposed to come out before Dominion did, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So Dominion will be included, so full spoilers ahead. This list will contain only theatrically released movies. None of the games, none of the short films, and nothing from Camp Cretaceous. I will never watch that show. So that's the good one, the bad one, the third one, and the world ones. I will also not be talking about the scientific accuracy of any of the dinosaurs in any of these movies. Some of the inaccuracies are straight from the book, and also these are not really dinosaurs. The movies even straight up say that they have all kinds of other shit jammed into them. They're not accurate, they're not really supposed to be, and I don't really care. Other people have already talked about that, so just go watch them. Also, I would like to pay a moment of respect to the music and sound design in all of these movies. It's incredible in every single one of them. And as always with these kinds of videos, I will be ranking them in the order I would rather watch them in, and not the quality. Every movie will have 2 scores attached, one of actual quality on a filmmaking's perspective, and one of how much I enjoy it. Alright, let's get started. In last place, it's The Lost World, Jurassic Park. A movie so awful that they named it backwards. It's no secret that I hate this movie. This is my least favorite movie ever made. I made a video about it a few years ago, and while I don't think that video was great, because I made it a few years ago, most of the points I made in it are still valid. This movie systematically goes through and undoes everything that makes the first movie so good. It removes the awe and wonder of that movie and turns all the dinosaurs into mindless killing machines. While I won't claim that the first movie is completely innocent of turning dinosaurs into movie monsters, this movie is infinitely worse at that. I also don't think that this is the worst movie in terms of doing that, but it's the one that started the trend of turning them into monsters, and I hate it for that. I hate almost all of the characters in this movie. They're all just bumbling morons. I know that's kind of the point, but I still hate them. Jeff Goldblum's alright in this one, but he doesn't really get to do a whole lot but call people out for being dumb. This mechanic car guy seems really nice, but he dies a horrific death before he really gets to do anything. He didn't deserve that. Sarah Harding is also a complete idiot wearing a jacket covered in T-Rex infant blood the entire time, despite her saying directly that she knows better. I also kinda like this hunter guy, he seems alright. A movie just about this guy on a quest to hunt a T-Rex down and him learning that, hey, maybe this is a bad idea, sounds so much more interesting than the shit show this movie actually is. The daughter is also really obnoxious, and she is personally responsible for the worst moment in this entire franchise.
Hey, you!
All the other hunter guys are just stupid as well as this lawyer guy who I do not like. They're just stupid for the sake of stupid. It's unrealistically stupid. The people were not the brightest in the original movie, but it was at least realistically so. This is so much worse than that. The San Diego sequence is also the fucking cherry on top for this abomination. It's awful and it doesn't make any sense. How did the T-Rex kill everyone on the boat? If it managed to escape and kill everyone on the boat, why does it go back into the cargo hold? When it escapes, why does it go drink chlorinated water and not notice? Why did someone approve this sequence and turn this movie into a shitty Godzilla parody? Why does this movie make me so angry, and why do I care so much? However, I do like the sequence with the T-Rexes and the trailer. I think it's pretty good. The long grass sequence is alright as well, but it gets immediately undone by this fucking scene. I think they're good, but they're not enough to carry the movie. Also, how does Discount Tim Roth die to these little compies? You can just pick these up and break their necks. These are tiny. How do you die to these? This one line has also always bugged me.
I want it up and running in 30 minutes. That's half an hour.
Yeah. I think he knows that. I don't know why. This has just always bugged me. But honestly, I don't think this movie's that bad in terms of actual quality. It's decently competently made, especially compared to some of the other movies on this list. I just hate it. It's not the worst movie on this list, but it's the one I hate the most. It also isn't funny bad, it's just bad. 50% quality, 10% enjoyment. Fuck this movie. Up next, Jurassic Park 3. I think this is a much worse movie than The Lost World, but I hate it less. It just kinda makes me feel numb. The good things are the Spinosaurus and Alan Grant. I love how Alan gets literally pressed by fans into coming back to the island, just like how the movie itself got pitched. Something I don't understand is why this movie isn't just about the kid who survived on this island for months. That would be way more interesting. They just brushed aside all the interesting parts. Take this scene, for example.
This is T-Rex P. How'd you get it?
You don't want to know.
Actually, I kinda do want to know that. That sounds pretty cool. I would love to know how you figured out how to collect it and how to use it. I would love to see how you figured out how to do any of this survival stuff. That sounds way more interesting than everything else happening in this stupid movie. I think the birdcage sequence is cool in concept, but it's not utilized very well. I don't really do anything with it. Also, this movie just kinda ends. There's no resolution, it just kinda stops in a weird and awkward place. Also, Ellie Statler is ungodly underused. Why is she even in this movie? This movie also just has a lot of pointless things. Like the point where the shittiest looking Ceratosaurus shows up for like 2 seconds and then just leaves. Or the point where a raptor is just standing still behind a glass jar just for the sole purpose of jump scaring the audience. And although as pointless and dumb as it is, the point where the dream velociraptor says Alan might be the funniest scene in any of these movies. The whole thing with the weird genetics lab goes nowhere, and the only reason bootleg Shia LaBeouf takes the egg is to make the raptors be in the movie for longer. They also start talking about how there was a bunch of dinosaurs on the island that weren't listed by InGen, and how the lab is weird, and they just don't explain why. I would have liked to see that. Honestly, writing the review for this movie is incredibly difficult because I literally don't remember most of what happens and I just watched it. This movie just makes me feel hollow. Lost World makes me angry, but this makes me feel nothing. Kinda like The Last Jedi versus The Rise of Skywalker. One's worse, but the other makes me angry. But all that negative stuff about this movie being said, this is the first one where we get to see an ankylosaur, and those are my favorites, so it gets points there. 40% quality, 50% enjoyment. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Despite sharing the same name as that Minecraft parody, this movie is awful, but it's kind of funny. I'm so tapped out on this terrible franchise that I went into it expecting a terrible movie, and received exactly that. It's 2 mediocre movies awkwardly stapled together to create one bad one. The first movie is about taking the dinosaurs off of Isla Nublar, and the second one is a mediocre horror film in the mansion. Both of these could have been fine movies on their own, but no, they had to stick them together and ruin both of them. I think the island plot would have been way more interesting if they hadn't put the dumbass military guys in it. Why are there always dumb military guys in these movies? This entire movie is just a really long trailer for Dominion. It exists solely just to set up that movie, and that's so frustrating because this movie ends right when things just start to get interesting. But the problem is that this dumbass little girl releases like maybe 25 dinosaurs into the wild, and everyone acts like this is apocalyptic. A group of like 5 rednecks could probably kill them all in like a week. The subplot of the little girl being a clone comes completely out of nowhere, and it goes nowhere. The fact that someone cloned someone is not out of the question for this franchise, but the moral implications of this are never explored or even really brought up. They sort of mention it, and then they never bring it up again outside of this one dumbass line.
I had to. They're alive. Like me.
That is dumb as shit. The characters in this movie are pretty terrible as well. They're so boring and we don't get to know any of them. Why is the vet lady and the IT guy even in this movie? They do nothing. The vet lady hasn't even met a dinosaur before. Why is she here? I also hate all the generic military people. I mentioned that earlier, but why do they just keep putting these people in the movies? It's so boring. Chris Pratt is trying his hardest, but Owen is just such a nothing character. However, Claire is more interesting here than she was in the first one. The good things in this movie are the diversity of dinosaurs and some of the action set pieces. I like seeing lots of dinosaurs, and I like seeing them do things. And this movie's so stupid, I don't even mind it when it looks like Looney Tunes. I especially like the opening with the Mosasaurus paddock. I just think it's neat. it's genuinely cool, and the T-Rex comes out of the woods and kills the guy. That's pretty badass. Honestly though, I don't despise this movie. It's very bad, but it's so stupid that it's kind of enjoyable. I don't care at all about this franchise anymore, and as I said, I went into this expecting a dumb as shit action movie featuring dinosaurs, and I got exactly that. 40% quality, 70% enjoyment. Please make good movies again. Jurassic World Dominion. This movie is a complete shit show, but I had a great time with it. This might be the worst or second worst movie in the franchise, but boy is it funny, and there's a lot of cool dinosaurs. This movie's plot is an absolute mess. The last movie ended by releasing dinosaurs into the modern wild, and the entire premise of this movie was supposed to be dealing with the ramifications of that. It even opens with an incredibly awkward newscast, just to catch everybody up on what happened. However, some bumblefuck decided not to focus on that, and instead to focus on the plot of finding Blue's baby, who's apparently Raptor Jesus, and the dumb clone girl from the last movie. And also some locusts for some reason, a movie franchise based entirely on the allure of dinosaurs, and you focus on locusts. Why? Also, I know I said I wouldn't talk much about scientific accuracy, but our atmosphere is incapable of sustaining insects of this size. Did you not watch the worst episode of Doctor Who ever made? Also, here's some articles. I can't fathom why they went this route. This mystifies me, especially when you had such an interesting premise with all the dinosaurs loose in the wild, which is never really followed up on. It kind of starts at the beginning where they're kind of talking about it and Claire frees like a Pseudoceratops or something. And then at the end, it's just okay. Not a whole lot happens with it. There's a whole lot of really weird and dumb things in this movie, like the fact that Chris Pratt now has Herculean strength and can restrain a fully grown Parasaurolophus to just wrestle a Dilophosaurus to the ground with no issues, or punch a metal door off a plane. Or the fact that every single character will do the raptor training pose whenever they encounter a dinosaur, without fail. Also, Dodgson has the Barbasol can. How? And why? All that being said, there's some incredible action sequences in this movie. The blind Therizinosaurus is probably one of the best action sequences in the entire franchise. The chase in the streets of Malta is pretty neat as well, but the Atrociraptors have an incredibly selective speed, where they can either run equally as fast as a regular woman, or equally as fast as a motorbike, but never faster than either of them. I also really like the Parasaurolophus herding sequence at the start. It just looks really cool. The Dimetrodons were also neat, but the action sequence was too short. The Giganotosaurus is also incredibly wasted. They kind of say, hey look, it's a Giganotosaurus, kind of midway through the movie, and then it doesn't come back until the end, where it has an okay action sequence, and then it dies. Also, the director promised that the Giganotosaurus would be like the Joker. I don't know what the fuck that was supposed to mean, but it's definitely not in the movie, but boy do I wish it was. The characters in this movie are all over the place, and there's way too many of them. I love seeing the original cast all together again, but they don't get a whole lot to do after the locusts are dealt with. I do love how Jeff Goldblum is just Jeff Goldbluming all over the movie. He really is the best character in this. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are kind of boring, even more so than their other movies. What little characterization they had, What little characterization they had has been removed. Now they're just generic parent archetypes. They also introduce a ton of new characters, which we don't really get to meet at all. This new pilot lady seems badass, and I wish we got to know literally anything about her. This guy who works at Biosyn seems nice, but again, we know nothing about him. He decides to betray Biosyn off screen, and we never really find out why, other than they're evil. This evil lady at the black market doesn't even get a name, and she seems like she could have been an interesting character. I mean, she might have had a name and I just don't remember, but I also don't care. Also, every time that Peter's dad from Amazing Spider-Man shows up as Dodgson, whatever they were saying was drowned out by the screaming in my head of this line from the original movie.
Dodgson! Dodgson! We've got Dodgson here!
That is not due to any fault of the movie, but I felt that it needed to be said. At least the cinematography and dinosaur effects were really good in this movie. This is probably the second best looking one of these movies. Most of my enjoyment stemmed from just turning off my brain and watching the cool dinosaurs. Something I don't understand is why the prologue they released on YouTube isn't in the movie. It's an incredible sequence which sets up some of the animals we see later, like the Giganotosaurus or Quetzalcoatlus, and why the fuck would you remove it? It's amazing, even if the dinosaurs are supposed to be accurate, and very much aren't. But it looks really, really cool, and the sequence with the Tyrannosaurus in the drive-in theater Why is this not in the movie? It's amazing. This is also the first movie where we get to really see feathered dinosaurs, and that automatically gives the movie bonus points because they look amazing. The Pyroraptor is one of the best looking dinosaurs in the entire franchise. I wish it did anything. This is a little bit off topic, but people who think that dinosaurs aren't cool because they have feathers are fucking idiots. How is this lamer than this? I don't understand. Have you idiots ever seen a cassowary? This thing is terrifying. Dinosaurs having feathers is cool. Fuck you guys. So I got a little off topic there. The ratings for this movie are all over the place, but I think this deserves a solid 45% quality, 70% enjoyment. This is a terrible movie, but I had a great time with it. Jurassic World is pretty good. It's fine. I don't mind this movie at all. It's nice to actually get to a movie on this list that I don't actively dislike. That being said, I don't think this movie is anything particularly special. It's a pretty standard PG-13 action movie featuring some dinosaurs. I think the best thing about this movie is the raptors themselves. I like how they're done. They're portrayed the most like animals in this one, even compared to the original. Incredibly vicious animals, but still animals. I think this might be the best depiction of the raptors in any of these movies, and that's saying a lot. I also absolutely love seeing the park actually be open. For a movie franchise based entirely on the premise of a theme park full of dinosaurs, this is the only movie where you see an open park, which is weird. I love seeing how the exhibits work and all the things to do. I think it's really great. This also might be the only movie where I don't actively despise seeing product placement in the background, because it makes sense that corporatism would have infested every single aspect of this park. However, the people running this park are idiots. They're just okay with dinosaurs breaking out. This is just a standard occurrence. Build stronger fences. You know what happened in the previous movies. You maybe want to do something about that? All that stuff about loving the theme park being said, these glass balls are really dumb. One mud puddle or pile of dinosaur feces and the entire point of these things is ruined. The area where this movie really falters is its characters. They're all kinda boring, except for this guy. This guy's awesome. I don't know why the movie isn't about him, he's great. The older kid is also unnecessarily a dickhead for most of the movie for no reason. I know he's supposed to be an edgy teen and his parents are getting divorced or whatever, but come on man, don't be such an asshole. Claire doesn't get a whole lot to do but stand around wearing high heels the whole time for some reason, which is a shame because she actually could have been pretty interesting. Also, why did her sister send her kids to see her on a random impromptu day with little warning and then get mad when Claire was busy? She runs the most popular theme park on the planet, of course she's busy. The special effects are also weirdly not great. It's not horrific by any means, and I've seen much worse CGI before, but you'd think a movie where the entire gimmick is dinosaurs, that they'd invest more in the dinosaur effects. The very few practical effects we see aren't great. This Apatosaurus is atrocious. Who approved this? This is awful. The whole plot with the military wanting to use the raptors is dumb. The sequel goes more into this, and I already talked about that, but it's still dumb here and I don't like it. Also, they criminally underuse Vincent D'Onofrio. I forgot he was even in this movie before I rewatched it. Another thing that's always bothered me with this movie is that the Indominus Rex was created because apparently people are getting bored with seeing dinosaurs. It's become too pedestrian and people look at them like they're regular animals. Excuse me, what? People would never get tired of this. People still love the zoo. Have you ever seen a kid at the zoo? They love it. Now imagine that with fucking dinosaurs. They'd never get bored. What are you talking about? Especially because they've got like rides and other touristy stuff here. This would be the most popular tourist attraction on the planet forever. I don't understand this. I get that, yeah, you need to incentivize people to keep coming back by adding new animals, but no one's ever gonna get bored of them. But ultimately, this movie is completely fine. The awe and wonder of the original, it's completely gone, but in a vacuum, this movie's fine. They may have had to break out a literal pair of nostalgia goggles to bring up some goodwill for the original movie, but it's okay. I don't hate this at all. I kind of like this movie. 60% quality, 70% enjoyment. It's perfectly watchable and fun, but I wouldn't want to watch it very often. But of course, there was never any question of what number one was going to be. It's not even close between them. Jurassic Park is my favorite movie ever made. Period. It makes me so happy. But biases aside, this film is a towering achievement in filmmaking. The special effects are so incredibly groundbreaking that they still look better than all the other movies on this list. So many lovable characters and iconic and fun moments, the beautiful, incredible score by John Williams, the legend himself, the sense of awe and wonder that permeates every single moment of this movie, and most importantly, the Goldblum. Oh yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. This movie is incredible in pretty much every way. Pretty much every single frame is iconic in some way. I love all the little character moments and the quirks to them, like the fact that Alan just really loves to traumatize kids. He just likes it, and I think that's hilarious. As I said, the special effects are probably the best in any of these movies. The dinosaurs look incredible. They look so good. It blows me away how amazing they look. This movie came out in 1993. Why does it look better than the ones that are coming out now? My favorite scenes are the sick Triceratops, the Brachiosaurus in the tree, and the first time ever seeing the dinosaurs. There's such incredible sequences that just show the love and awe and wonder for these animals, because that's just what they are. They're just animals. Even the T-Rex is just an animal in this. It's not a shitty Godzilla parody. It's just an animal. It only goes for the people in the cars after they keep shining a light in its eye. Also, side note, but oh my god, the T-Rex breakout sequence is incredible. It's so good. The Velociraptors do kind of get turned into movie monsters, but I don't think this is nearly as bad as the other movies on this list. But even the characters in this movie, when you look at them in the scene where Alan takes its glasses off and stares at the Brachiosaurus, and even like the soulless lawyer is just in just shock of what's going on. This movie's incredible. Movie's a masterpiece. I don't know, man. This movie just makes me so happy. If I had to cherry pick any flaws, I'd say I don't really like that Alan and Ellie are a couple because he's way older than her, and also this doesn't affect the plot at all. But again, that's just kind of cherry picking. Also, the T-Rex paddock goes from being level with the road to being a huge pit. But honestly, that's the only minor issue I can think of. This movie's perfect. It's a masterpiece. Oh, and the bit at the end where the T-Rex comes out and bites the Velociraptor, the music swells and the banner falls around it. 100% quality, 100% enjoyment. God, I love this movie so much. It makes me so happy. They should have left this franchise here, and they never should have made any sequels. It's perfect. Cut the music. It's a masterpiece. You did... Steven, you nailed it. Why did you do anything else? Well, I think that's about it. This video was not supposed to take as long as it did, so I'm sorry about that, but here we are. This was such a struggle to get through, because I don't like the majority of these movies. But man, the love I have for the original movie makes it all worth it. I really hope they stop making these movies now that Dominion is out, but unfortunately, I can think of a few billion reasons as to why they won't. But I care too much about the original movie and dinosaurs in general to not go see the inevitable future installments that will come out. I will go see every single movie in this god-awful franchise no matter how much I hate them. But I think that's about it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Go check out our podcast, available at YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and also follow me on social media. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.